Welcome to the 13th video in the Maine's Restaurant Formula video series. 6 questions every restaurant should be asking. Have you ever wanted to increase your sales but felt overwhelmed by the numerous things you could do to grow your business? The question is, which of the things you should do to get your guests back more often, spending more money, and bringing their friends? Success in restaurants is not about taking the most actions, it's about taking the right actions. Well, the good news is that there is someone out there who knows which of the things you should be focusing on. It's your customers. The best, most successful restaurants are adept at getting continuous feedback from their guests and then using that feedback to navigate their restaurant to more and more success. So what feedback do you need? What questions should you be asking? And how do you get the input? In this video, we'll cover the 6 critical questions every restaurant should be asking their guests to get the actionable feedback that they need to navigate to success. And at the end of the video, I'll go over some important details about how to maximize your success with your feedback process. Note, each of the questions is best asked on a 1 to 5 scale. You can kick off your customer contact card or survey with a statement like this. Please answer each of the questions on a 1 to 5 scale, with 5 being excellent and 1 being horrible, or some version of that. Question number 1. Rate your overall satisfaction with your experience at our restaurant today. This is a good measure because it will give you an overall high-level view of how you're doing in the minds of your guests. With each of these questions, it's a good idea to allow the guests to give some specific feedback, fill in the blank, about why they answered how they did. This is especially important if they give you a 1 or a 2 on your 5-point scale. Question 2. How likely is it that you would recommend our restaurant to a friend? This is the question that drives a measure you may have heard of called the Net Promoter Score. Some people would tell you that this is the only metric any restaurant needs to track. If you want to calculate your actual Net Promoter Score, simply subtract your responses that are a 1, 2, or 3 from those that are a 5. The resulting percentage is your Net Promoter Score. Anything over a 50 is considered exceptional. This is a very important metric because it's an indicator of how many of your guests are passionate enough to give you positive word of mouth. As you know, this is the kind of exposure that's very effective and dramatically cheaper than doing traditional advertising. The entire Restaurant Formula program is designed to create raving fans of your restaurant who are so passionate that they'll tell others. Question number 3. Based on today's visit, how likely are you to return in the next 30 days? In video number 10, we talked about strategies to increase your customers' frequency and get them back more and more often. Now, this is a measure that will show you how likely your customers are to come back frequently. Question number 4. Based on today's visit, how do you rate the value you received for the price that you paid? Your value equation is critical. If your value equation is broken, no one will be coming back or telling others. Question 5. Based on today's visit, how do you rate the quality of the food? Of course, food is the foundation of every restaurant. With increasing competition and escalating customer expectations, if your food scores are low, it's going to be pretty hard to attract customers over time. Question number 6. Based on today's visit, how do you rate the service you received? As much as 70% of why customers come back to a particular restaurant can be because of their personal experience. This is a critical measure of your success. Now, let me walk you through some details about how to deploy this in your restaurant. First, decide how you want to gather the feedback. Now, the 2 easiest ways are to literally put the questions on a comment card that your server hands to each guest. Low tech, but simple, inexpensive, and immediate. Alternately, you can do a simple online survey. In this case, you'd want to either collect their email and follow up with them, or work with a company who will provide a code through your POS and send them to an online survey. Honestly, for most independent restaurants, I really like the physical cards. In addition to the feedback questions that we already discussed, you should add some background questions. Importantly, you want to know whether they were a first-time guest, and if not, how frequently they visit your restaurant. In addition, you may consider asking for the date and time of their visit, their name, age, whether they're male or female, when their birthday is, when their anniversary is. Now, of course, those things can be used for follow-up marketing. And don't forget to ask them for their permission to put them on your email list. There are also some additional questions you might want to ask. While it's a good idea to keep the initial survey short, you could follow up with an additional survey or rotate questions in and out so you can get more feedback. Some additional questions you could consider are: 1. What specific food item did you order today, and how do you rate your satisfaction with that menu item? This will eventually allow you to get a satisfaction score for every item on your menu and know where your recipes need some help. Question 2, why did you choose us today? Now, this one can give you an idea of how you stand out from competition in the minds of your guests. 3, how did you hear about us? This one can give you an idea of how many came from which source. Word of mouth, driving by the restaurant, advertising you might be doing. Another question, what could we have done today to give you a better experience? This question is powerful because it makes them stop and think about how you can improve. With continuous improvement, the hope is that you start to get lots of guests saying that there is nothing you could improve. You can also ask questions about the speed of service, the cleanliness of the restaurant, and your environment. Now, to turn your surveys into actionable data, you can simply take an average, which will give you a number score. Or you can also calculate your top box or top 2 box score by calculating the percentage of 5s or the percentage of 4s and 5s. Some people would argue that the 5s are the only scores that matter because these folks are your passionate fans. I believe you can learn by calculating your scores in a variety of different ways and see what stands out to you. Now, what do you do with all this data? First, analyze it. What insights can you glean from what you see? Next, make a plan. What actions can you take to improve on your opportunity areas? Third, share it with your team. Show them the feedback and the scores. Set a goal for what you want these feedback scores to be. Get them involved in creating plans to improve your scores. You may have heard the old adage, what gets measured gets managed. If you're going to achieve your goal, you need to know what you're shooting for. Create a culture of feedback, improvement, and high expectations in your restaurant, and you'll be on your way to navigating to success. Join us next time for the next Maine's Restaurant Formula video. I look forward to seeing you then.